Next game here, and I think it was a statement game because I think BYU comes into their matchup with Arizona. They're 5-0, but they caught Kansas State on a bad night. They beat SMU by 3. They beat Baylor by a touchdown. They just haven't been impressive. They've won all their games, which is that in and of itself is impressive. But they haven't really had a statement win. I think they picked that up on Friday, 41-19 against Arizona, who we've seen Arizona be very frisky this year, especially offensively, holding them to 19 points, forcing 3 interceptions from Noah Fafita. I mean, that's such a huge win. BYU football, and it wasn't always that way. Got off to a slow start, but then just kept chugging along, kept playing BYU football. And boy, I feel so silly because it seems so obvious that all the nice things that people say about Kenny Dillingham and that Utah program, their stability and their success over the last couple of years and their structure. BYU has that in droves. They just don't have an 87-year-old quarterback that they lean their entire offense on. And so I feel silly for not seeing it, but I'm seeing it now. That was a huge win for BYU, and I'm bummed that they don't get the love in the AP poll that some of the teams in the southeastern portion of the conference would, or in the country would. But they're putting together a real good resume.
There's no question about that, Brandon. And as you mentioned with Cincinnati, kind of those growing pains in year one, BYU went through those same growing pains. What they've done has been amazing. They're more than frisky. They're dangerous. They really are. Like, they're not a fun team to play. They're tough offensively. They run the ball with good power. That defense has been nasty. Certain road wins that we didn't kind of maybe overlooked a little bit. That SMU one's the perfect one, where you and I said, hey, nice little road win for BYU, good for the conference. And that SMU program said to TCU, get out. This is our city, pretty much. And that kind of woke up you and I of like, oh, maybe SMU's not that bad. And maybe we kind of overlooked that BYU win a little bit too much. They're good, Brandon. They're really good. Their crowd's been great. Not surprised in Provo. They have some great fans there. They are a force to be reckoned with, I think, late October into November. And I'll say it right now, Brandon, I really like their odds of making a conference championship game. I really do. I think just the way that in Arizona, you've mentioned it, frisky, tough. Kansas State maybe just wasn't ready that night, but like they did just wax them. They were ready and they just beat the brakes off of them. So like they're 6-0 and they're 6-0 for a reason. They're playing great football.
Well, and I mean, let's go through the schedule here. So you got Oklahoma State at home in Provo with a 9:15 kickoff. Have fun, Cowboys, with your freshman quarterback going into that environment. And because I think we'll see something similar to what we saw at Kansas State, is that they probably have better dudes. I mean, Ollie Gordon's a superstar. They bring back a lot of experience from last year, but you have to play almost perfect to come away with a win against BYU. I mean, we saw Avery Johnson struggle. Not that he had that horrible of a game, but it snowballs when you play a team this structurally sound. It snowballs. I mean, no Fafita, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. We haven't seen that his entire college career. But I mean, BYU catches him sleeping. So good luck Oklahoma State with that game. Then they go to UCF, which they're struggling. Utah is going to give them everything that they have in that holy war in the first weekend of November. So watch out for that.
For sure.
But then they host Kansas. Good luck, Jalen Daniels, if you're still around. BYU host Arizona State. That'll be a fun one. But and then they host Houston, which you chalk up as a win. If BYU goes 5-1 in that span, no matter what happens in Arlington, we talked about the path for Utah, and what's the most likely scenario to get 2 Big 12 teams in. BYU might be that best spot where you get in 11-1, which 11-1 doesn't sound that crazy with that schedule and how sound they're playing. And then you get a team like Kansas State, maybe with 2 losses, or Iowa State with a loss. Maybe both those teams get in, and it comes down to who gets that bye, who gets to strap up on week 1. That's probably the path for the Big 12 now, is through Provo. which is so silly.
It's hilarious. And it feels exactly right how this 24 season is played out. If they go 6-0 down the stretch, Brandon, let's say they run the table, they could lose the Big 12 championship game. Won't matter. They're in. They're in. There's no doubt about it. 5-1, lose the Big 12 championship game. You might be on the fence. Lord knows how that committee will view that. But I'll say this: that is a very favorable schedule. But the thing that's impressed me, they seem to be handling their business week by week, not looking ahead. They really seem they're just like, we don't care about what's in the future in November. We've got a job to do this week against Oklahoma State, but they're playing some great inspired football. And compared to that team when Iowa State went there last November and just beat them handedly, no problems, I thought they got some work to do. And my goodness, whatever they did in those offseason workouts, training, obviously film sessions, all that, coaching changes, whatever, it's worked great for them. They've played such good football this year.